Welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Lara Cotter.
And I'm Sky Orchard.
And welcome back to Season 1, Episode 19, Cat Showdown. This is my question then. It doesn't really matter later on in the episode, but if you could be turned into a cat, what sort of cat would you be turned into?
Ooh. I want to say like a Savannah cat or a Bengal cat, but at the end of the day, I'm just a grumpy old tortoiseshell like Riversong or Lily.
Why would you want to be a Bengal or Savannah cat?
Just because they're cool and slightly wild in their genetics. Yeah, that's about it.
I think that would make sense for you. Like a cat that could go, like one of the cats you could put a harness on and go take it on hikes.
Yeah, that's sort of the dream, is to one day have a ethically sourced Bengal or Savannah cat to be my hiking buddy versus a dog.
Ethically sourced being like from a shelter?
Yeah, or just, breeder.
An ethical breeder.
Yeah. Your turn.
Oh. I wasn't sure if I should just offer or if you're going to ask. I think I would be a Russian blue. And that's actually the kind of cat I was looking for when I got Mabel. And I just got a standard gray cat instead, and I called it close enough. Because in my research of Russian blues, they're pretty independent, but they're also very vocal. And I feel like that sums me up. Chatty wants to be left alone.
I've never met a Russian blue I hated.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I've actually met a Russian blue. But yeah, again, the dream to find one that I don't have to pay hundreds of dollars for.
There's the rub.
Best Friends Animal Shelter, if you ever get a Russian blue in, let me know. Although Mabel would not do well with a housemate, so maybe not. All right. Should we get into that? Was a short little question. But all right. Is this going to be a quiet episode for us?
I don't know. You'd think, given the subject matter, we're going to like talk. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen this episode.
Yeah. We'll get into it more, but as I was doing notes, I was like, there are so many short scenes. It's like 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, something new. So there wasn't a ton to actually like glom onto that we could talk about for an extended period of time. There'll be a couple things, I think.
You could almost say the scenes were darting around like a cat on catnip.
Yes, you could.
There's my metaphor for the night. I'm done.
Okay. We're done. Sky's checking out. It's just me from here on. Okay, so as I said, this is Season 1, Episode 19, episode titled Cat Showdown. TV guide description. While snooping for proof that a cat show judge is being blackmailed, Sabrina changes into a kitty to avoid being caught, but she's mistaken for a contestant and caged. Which I don't love that.
That's giving too much.
It sounds like the main problem is that she's caged as a cat. That's not the main problem. The Hulu one is better because it says Salem enters a cat show to make some fast cash, but Sabrina uncovers a fur-raising scandal.
100%. Hulu all the way.
Hulu's much better. It originally aired March 21st, 1997, directed by David Grossman, who directed some episodes of Buffy, Desperate Housewives, Mad TV, and In Living Color. We also have, yes, he's returned, Rudy Kazuti himself. Frank Conniff is our writer. We will never escape him. Then we have a buttload of guest stars. So I'm not going to get into a ton of their acting credits. Some of them have a bunch. Some of them have like 2. I'll give the highlights. We have Beth Howland as Mrs. Erickson from a TV show called Alice, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and The Love Boat. Dan Florek as Bob Gordon, best known as Dan Cragen on Law & Order SVU. Oh, I looked up how to pronounce this, and now I'm going to say it wrong. Bill Fagerbakke, I think is how you say it, as Dirk. And you may have recognized his voice as Patrick Star in SpongeBob. We have Patty Toy's Daphne, which we don't actually hear her name, but it's the saleswoman. She was in Speed, Quantum Leap, and Babylon 5. Carl Banks is Andrew. He was in Grace Under Fire and In Living Color. Linda Cash is Haley, who was Milady's voice in the Halloween episode. She's also in Best in Show, Man of the Year, and a bunch of cartoons that I had never heard of, including something called Scaredy Squirrel, something called Nunchucks, and something called The Day My Butt Went Psycho.
Do we dare try and watch an episode of that?
I mean, if we can find it, I don't know.
We already have weird titles on our list, so why not The Day My Butt Went Psycho?
Give me 2 more actresses, and I'm going to go back to one of the crazy ones we've talked about.
Ooh.
We have Susan Rossito as Little Hilda. She didn't have a ton of acting credits. I noticed The Nanny and Batman Returns. And then we have Allie Holmes returning as Zoe. She's the actress for Magic Joel, and she was the one who was in Human Zoo. So,
ooh, yeah. Still need to watch that one.
We already have Human Zoo on the list. We might as well add The Day My Butt Went Psycho. And then lastly, we have an uncredited Gary Stockdale as Blofeld. Blofeld? I never watched any of the old James Bond movies, so I don't know how to say that. He is the composer for Sabrina and a bunch of other things.
I feel like half of these characters never actually had their name said in this episode.
We learned Haley's name. We learned.
Oh, I love Haley.
You are Haley. That's next year's Halloween costume. We know Mrs. Erickson's, Bob Gordon's. Nobody ever says Daphne's name. Nobody says Andrew's name. Nobody ever says Zoe's name. And nobody says the Bond villain, but we're just supposed to know that name. Oh, no, somebody does say Andrew's name, I think, briefly in the conga line when they're saying, like, don't trust this person, don't trust this person. I think there's a don't trust Andrew, he'll try to trip you. What were your overall thoughts of the episode, Sky?
It was definitely quick-paced. It was fun there. I had 4 out of the 5 cats watching with me, everyone except Riversong. Lily did fall asleep halfway through and drooled on my arm, but Lizzie was very intent on the screen the entire time. I really liked mostly, though, the background music because it was so different between each scene there, and it was just a fun little time. Lots of kitties, lots of music. Good little show.
This is one of the ones I remember very vividly. I liked it. I did notice, again, a lot of short scenes and just a lot happening, which I feel like we also had, I don't know if it was another Frank Conniff written episode, but we've had a couple that have been like this, and I tend to like them. They feel more full than some of the ones that drag on a bit. My one note on this is that Harvey has a couple of shirts in this episode that I feel are not great, just on screen, like the weird striped ones at the beginning and I think at the end, that I was just like, this doesn't translate well through TV.
I feel like stripes are hard in general.
All right, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's start with our cold open. Sabrina is at school calling home on the payphone. Hilda debates whether or not to answer the ringing phone, but she finally does. Sabrina asks Hilda to zap her history book to her. Hilda does so, but sneezes, sending the book to parts unknown. We then see the book fall into the Egyptian desert. Which we haven't talked about this yet, but you get a good shot of the book cover. Did you ever do that with your textbooks where you take a paper bag and you cover them? Yeah. You can't do that with your Chromebooks anymore, kids. You get a good shot of the Fighting Scallions mascot. I just read this the other day. Do you know why they're called the Fighting Scallions?
No, and I think my brain read it as the Fighting Stallions when we saw this book.
Okay, apparently in like one of the spin-off novels that were based on the show, they talk about it, and it's because they hired a guy to come do the artwork, and it was supposed to be the Fighting Stallions, but he like misheard it or wrote it down wrong, and he wrote it as Scallions, and that's why they're the Fighting Scallions.
Wow, amazing.
For our outfit intro this time, we have a traditional flamenco dress in black and red with a large fan, and Sabrina says, "This is my biggest fan." Terrible. Harvey and Sabrina are eating lunch, and Sabrina complains about having to read 1984 when Orwell got so much wrong.
Yeah, maybe forget the year, Sabrina, because he got so much potentially right. It's scary.
I mean, we are living in an age of Big Brother with AI and technology, and like I just saw a commercial for GoodRx. I think it's like if you have prescription, it's like the coupon thing for meds, and you don't have to pay to use it. And I was just thinking, like, how are they making money? Because if they're discounting drugs on behalf of, but you don't run it through insurance and you're not paying for it, what are they making money off of? And I was like, oh, your medical information. That's what they're making money off of, your data.
Just casual.
That's it. Okay, cool. Anyway, away from our dystopian present, Zoe, who's unnamed in this episode, comes by to sell tickets to Funland for the sophomore class trip, but they're $40. Do you know how much that is in $24, Sky?
200?
Oh, you're way off. It's $77.36.
That actually makes me feel better.
Yeah, yeah. It's not that big, but okay, depends on which one you're going to. It's anywhere from $77 to $78. So the deadline to purchase them is the end of next week. Harvey and Sabrina commiserate that they'll never be able to afford them. Salem is once again on the phone in Sabrina's room, leaving to question, where is the line? Sometimes Salem can answer the phone, sometimes he can't. He's ordering things from a catalog, but his credit card is maxed out.
What could Salem potentially need a shoe buffer for?
I'm assuming Salem shops to chase the sad away, much like I do. Do I need the fabric coat hangers that are in my Amazon cart right now? No, I do not. I have plenty of plastic ones. Am I going to buy them? Yes, I am.
Treat yourself.
Sabrina enters and asks what's wrong. Salem is overextended on his credit card. Sabrina is sad because she was going to ask him for money, and Salem was going to ask her. A bummed Sabrina realizes that they'll need to get jobs.
This will be Sabrina's third attempt. First we had Kazuti, Magic Joel. Now attempt number 3. Third time's the charm.
I mean, she was terrible at both of those first 2 jobs, so...
One can only hope. She only can go up from here.
Zelda is downstairs and she answers the door for Dirk the Mailman.
He did come back.
We finally got to meet him. He found a letter left in the bottom of his bag and wanted to deliver it to her. And we find out that she has a middle initial. It's Zelda P. Spellman. So what do you think that P stands for, Sky?
Penelope, Patrice, Patricia, Patty, Persephone.
What's a good 1300s name that starts with P? Philippa. Oh, Philippa would make sense. Zelda Philippa Spellman. That is a mouthful. Maybe one day we'll get an answer. Probably not. Dirk also asked about her talking to a FedEx guy the other day. Zelda assures him the man was just dropping off a package. Dirk is still clearly jealous and doesn't trust mail that travels that fast. Which in our state, FedEx is the black hole where packages go to die.
Yeah.
Zelda placates him, but quickly closes the door. Cut to Zelda throwing away the junk mail, while Hilda notes that Dirk really has it bad for Zelda. And the Anne's outfits in this scene are just fabulous. I love them. Wish I had them. Zelda wishes there was a gentle way to let him down. Hilda has an idea. She just saw an ad for a magical perfume that repels love in Modern Witch. It's called Revulsion, but they can only get it during the full moon.
Luckily, it seems like a full moon is about to happen.
I know. And Zelda says it like, oh, we can only get it during the full moon. And I was like, oh, it's going to be a while. And I was like, nope, it's that night or the next day. Okay.
Convenient.
We had to wait a day. Sabrina's looking over the want ads but can't find a job that she can do. Salem spots a cat show advertisement with a prize of $500. Ooh, what would that be in 2024 dollars, Sky?
It would be $650-ish, right? Because of the other rate.
$980.
How does that?
Because the other one was almost doubled, 40 to 70, 500 to 9.
Yeah, 40 to 70 is more than a third there. It's fine.
Sabrina zaps an application and starts filling it out. We learn that Salem is not actually related to the Spellmans. He is Salem Saberhagen.
Do we think I think he's actually related. It's just a different last name.
I know why he's with the Spellmans. I'm not going to tell you that, but we do find out why specifically he's with the Spellmans.
Oh, okay.
This just goes back to my question about what is Milady and who is she, because she doesn't have to be related to them to be living with them.
Okay, good to know.
And Salem very clearly says, just because I'm your cat doesn't mean I'm your pet. But they call Milady Marigold's pet.
Okay.
So, still no answers.
But also, Cauldron Watch 2024 or 1997.
I'm like, isn't this airing in 2025? Cauldron Watch sometime 2020 something.
News ticker reel, Cauldron Watch. Here we go. The cauldron is at the very end of the desk. This time it's just pens and a pair of scissors. That is where Sabrina procures her pen to fill out this application. I'm still deeply upset in my soul about this cauldron use. And that has been Cauldron Watch 2025.
I completely forgot that, but I am glad that she took the stapler out.
Or at least we can't see it right now.
Sabrina, Harvey, and Salem arrive at the cat show, and we need to take a second. Sabrina has one of those terrible spiky headbands. Did you ever wear one of those?
Where it was like the zigzaggy?
Yes, it like shoved into your scalp. And yeah, she has that on. She has on a plastic choker, which is, again, uncomfortable. And then Harvey has on a wallet chain and one of those like bowling shirt type shirts. Like, this is just the most late 90s outfit. This is peak. If anybody wants to dress up as 90s kids for Halloween, just dress up like these two. You'll get it. Good job. Sabrina puts Salem in a cage while Harvey checks them in and double checks that Salem's last name is Saberhagen. Sabrina reminds Salem to behave himself, but worries she'll look crazy if people see her talking to her cat. Salem points out that everyone else is talking to their cats. A woman decked out with ribbons comes over to introduce herself and her cat, Duke. She claims Duke is a Burmese, and that is not a Burmese cat. I'm pretty sure that's not a Burmese cat. It looked more like a British Shorthair maybe, but I couldn't tell exactly what it was. I think it's just a cat brand cat. Fun thing I just thought about. So her cat is silver, or her cat is gray. So we could call that cat Duke Silver.
Yes, Ron Swanson.
Mrs. Erickson leaves to go groom Duke, and Salem points out that her cat had whisker extensions. Harvey comes back, proudly showing off that he got them number 38. Good job, Harvey. So proud of you. Sabrina places it on Salem's cage. Harvey spots Bob Gordon, a local newscaster. He's the judge of the cat show. I don't think being a local news anchor qualifies you to judge a cat show.
Agreed.
I mean, like, you could do commentary probably, but not judge.
Also, this is a big city. This is in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So they have, it's not some podunk Massachusetts town. There are actual cat aficionados, I'm sure, somewhere in the Boston metropolitan area.
Maybe this is like a black market cat show or like an off-brand cat show. Like, I don't know. It's not the best cat show. It's not the fancy one. I don't know anything about cat shows. Other than that crazy Netflix documentary. Did you ever watch that Netflix documentary about cat shows?
No.
Okay, watch it. It's good. Can't remember what it's called, but yeah, watch it.
I did go to a cat show once at the Utah State Fairgrounds. It was interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What cat won? What breed of cat won? Do you remember?
No, I didn't have enough attention to actually watch the judging. Just walked around and met the cats in their cages and looked at the cat toys.
All right. Anyway, Bob Gordon, he announces that he'll be picking out best of breed today, with the winners staying overnight for the best of show competition the next day. Salem asks Sabrina to brush him because he's shedding like crazy. Bob is holding Salem in the air and examining him. Sabrina and Harvey are both confused by what's happening. Harvey is the best in this episode. I will say that. He's not in very much, but every line he has is it's just the best. Salem is selected as one of the top 3 American short hairs, and he is not an American short hair. That is a domestic short hair. Salem is not what an American short hair looks like. Oh, yeah, so we could have done a drinking game around the he's an American short hair, I'm proud of it moment, because they say that every single time. They then begin the parade of semifinalists, with all the participants warning Sabrina about how the others will try to sabotage her. Sabrina holds Salem and walks in the circle, embarrassed and confused, and one of the other contestants tries to trip her.
Cat conga. This was amazing with their little steps while holding their cats. Not what I would imagine by a parade, but I was here for it.
How much do you think they paid for all of those cat actors that day? Do you think they shot all the cat scenes like at once to get it all over with?
I feel like that'd be the most economical.
Yeah, that was a lot of cat extras and all well trained.
All fabulous.
Sabrina is brushing Salem, and Harvey asks if he can leave. Sabrina tells him that her aunts can pick her up. He gives her a side hug and tells her it was fun. So we're just not addressing at all that they've kissed, that they may be together, because this is now 2 episodes after. He gives her a side hug, not even like a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah, I feel like we're being retconned.
She went through all that trouble to kiss him, and we're just not kissing anymore.
Maybe a side effect of being a frog was he forgot.
No, because they kissed again after he came back from being a frog.
And then he fell asleep, and then it was Alice in Wonderland, and it was all just a dream. I guess Sabrina might have some amnesia too, so solved it.
I'm not happy about this. Like, we spent time working up to this and we're getting no payoff.
Typical.
Also, he's like, oh, can I leave because I'm bored? And then he's like, I had so much fun. Which is at Harvey.
Is he just being nice by saying he had so much fun?
We know Harvey. We know he doesn't do that. We know he's enthusiastic and sincere about everything he says. This is the one thing I was like, what the hell? Like, what's... No. Are they together? Who knows? Bob comes around to do one-on-one interviews. Sabrina and Salem are in an office as Bob asks about Salem.
Sabrina says he's very friendly, very focused, and just a little power mad, which gave me a chuckle. But then Bob said, sounds like he's all cat, which made me chuckle even more. Cats to take over the world. Here we go.
Maybe that's why they turn him into cats. No, because
he has the one friend who's like
a newt.
Yeah, the newt.
That's I was trying to remember if we'd seen that episode or not. I am so confused by where we are and what we've seen and what is just in my memory. I don't know anymore. Sabrina and Salem show off a special trick where Salem uses a number pad to answer math problems. Bob is astounded. Bob begins to hand out ribbons for his best of breed selections, including one to our Bond villain-esque man with a white Persian cat, and that is our composer, who is the parody of James Bond villain Ernst Stavro Blofeld. Have you watched James Bond movies?
No.
Okay, well, we watched Sabrina, not James Bond.
I got the villain trope, I just don't know
Yeah.
the villain name.
Yeah, it's specifically that one because he also has the same cat. The last ribbon goes to Salem. He's the first place American short hair. Again, not American short hair, domestic short hair.
He's darn proud of it.
And they don't give ribbons for domestic short hairs because those are just standard cats. Zelda calls for Hilda to hurry up because it's the full moon and they need to go to the store in the other realm. Zelda hopes it works so Dirk won't go after the UPS guy again. And now I'm imagining Dirk just fighting any other carrier type people out there.
Oh, hopefully Dirk doesn't see, what's his name? The old guy. He'd break the old guy into two.
The old guy's not a mail carrier, though, or a package delivery company, so he'd probably be safe.
Maybe, but if Dirk got any inkling that there could be romantic intentions, he could go crazy. He could go postal. I did it. Done.
They have left the building. Can you imagine, though, Dirk in an Amazon world?
Oh, gosh.
He'd just be like swinging at guys nonstop all day. And half of them you can't even identify because sometimes they just drive regular cars.
Poor Dirk and his sanity.
Zelda and Hilda arrive at a beauty store and are greeted by the employee. Zelda asks for a bottle of revulsion, and the saleswoman pushes her to get the big bottle. Hilda asks about another object, and the saleswoman shows her the magic mirror that shows you at your best. Hilda is sold. The saleswoman tries to give one to Zelda, but Zelda says, you can't buy self-esteem. Next, the saleswoman tries to give them wrinkleberries to smooth out your face and other places. And I was very confused by the weird and other places. What are we trying to smooth out, ladies? Zelda rejects the offer and asserts that they can shop for themselves. Hilda starts to help herself to a stress mint, but Zelda warns her that the sign says no samples. Hilda scoffs and tries one anyway. She gets turned into a little person. It's the anti-sample spell. Hilda asks to be changed back. The saleswoman says she will, but first she needs to buy a bunch of stuff.
So this was definitely like a fun little shop with all the little trinkets and fun magical stuff. I will say having the shopkeeper actress portray a very stereotypical Chinese saleswoman was a lot less fun.
Mm-hmm. Is this the second time we've had weird Asian stereotypes? Or
second or third?
Okay. Because I know the karate episode was another one. Or martial arts episode. Sabrina says goodbye to Salem and gives him some milk and The Economist. Bob is the last to leave and takes a phone call. It's someone who tells him to look in his briefcase. Salem is listening intently. Bob opens up his briefcase and finds what must be shocking photos. He tells the person on the phone he'll pay anything to keep them secret. Bob promises to name the caller's cat best in show and hangs up, then goes into the office and destroys the photos. Sabrina comes back in and says goodbye to Bob, but he curtly tells her to get out of his way. Salem tells her what he heard, and Sabrina goes to find the photo. She finds the pieces in the trash and puts them back together with magic. Bob comes back to grab his phone and notices the office door is open. Salem meows in alarm as Bob goes to investigate. Sabrina puts the photo in her pants, in the waistband of her pants that have pockets, and turns herself into a cat. Bob finds cat Sabrina and picks her up, wondering where she came from. He puts her in the cage next to Salem before turning off the lights and leaving again. Sabrina tells Salem she's the cat.
What? Uh-oh.
Sabrina can't turn herself back because she can't point. She then gets startled by her own tail. Luckily, the ants arrive in a dark, closed room with unattended cats. Sure. Calling for Sabrina. She calls out to them from the cage. Zelda gets her out and Hilda turns her back, but only her face at first. Back in full human form, Sabrina promises to explain after brushing her teeth. They refer to her throughout this episode as a blonde kitty. Just a reminder that Drell threatened to turn her into Salem's little blonde kitty friend in Terrible Things. So apparently your hair color determines the color of cat you are.
That makes sense. The cat actor they chose to play Sabrina doesn't make sense, though. There are a lot more blonder breeds of cat. This is very much an orange cat. But shout out to orange female cats that are very genetically rare. You only get about 2% of orange cats. Maybe.
What's a blonde cat you would have had play her?
There's some more sort of dirty blonde rag dolls. If you Google blonde cats, there will be like 5 examples that come up before an orange cat. There's blonde tabbies, there's a blonde Manx.
The first thing on mine was an orange cat.
Not on my Google.
The third one is not an orange tabby.
Catster.com, 25 blonde cat breeds, top choices for your home. Info and pictures. Like flame points, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Believe me.
Back home, Sabrina coughs up another hairball at the sink. Zelda and Hilda are disappointed that Bob is going to cheat for the blackmailer. They try to figure out who it could be. Zelda zaps the photo with a reverse angle spell, but the person's face is covered. However, they notice that the photographer is missing half of an index finger. The next morning, Sabrina tells Salem everything and is going to interrogate the suspects, saying hello to Mrs. Erickson, who shakes her hand with her gloved hand. The next person is a man whose hand is covered by a grooming mitt. Then Haley has her arms crossed and won't shake Sabrina's hand because she doesn't touch people.
Oh, I love you, Haley.
The aunts ask Sabrina how the investigation is going, but all the suspects have their hands covered. Hilda zaps a tray of mini quiches to tempt everyone. And Hilda is also wearing a tiger-striped pattern outfit to the cat show.
Yes, Hilda. I support that.
The 3 suspects come over and reveal their hands. They are all missing parts of their index fingers.
And they go over shop class, farm accident, and then Haley, my favorite. I used to keep Wolverines. End explanation right there. Love you, Haley.
Do you think she's now in the cat show business because of the Wolverine finger incident?
Probably.
Sabrina is frustrated that she couldn't narrow down her suspects. Salem asks her to take him home so he can enjoy something pure, like harness racing. Do you know what harness racing is?
Based on your note, I do. Do you have more context than just horse racing?
I do. It's a type of horse racing that looks kind of like a chariot racing. Like there's a person in a cart behind the horse. And it's a specific speed, I guess. I didn't go too far down the rabbit hole on this one because I was trying to go fast. A steamed Sabrina pushes Bob into the office to confront him. Sabrina admits that she knows he's being blackmailed and tells him to just come clean. He doesn't have to hide the fact that he's bald. Bob shushes her and closes the door. This could destroy his career. People like people with hair. Sabrina tells him he's not playing fair, but what's not fair is that he had to wear a toupee to his first frat party. Harvey rushes in, excited to see if Salem wins. An angry Sabrina tells him he just missed confirmation that they live in a corrupt, stinking world. And Harvey's like, oh, good. Bob begins to talk about his selection for Best in Show and asks to see Duke. But this cat has whisker extensions. Salem yells and no one notices. Sometimes Salem talks and no one notices it. Sometimes he doesn't talk because he thinks other people will notice it. And sometimes he talks and people hear it, but don't attribute it to him.
Salem's just our little chaotic kitty cat.
Mrs. Erickson protests that it's not in the rule book. She checked. Bob defends her choice. It may seem desperate and silly and vain, but then he stops and looks at the cat. It's like looking into a mirror. He puts the cat down and tears off his toupee. Mrs. Erickson tries to stop him, but Sabrina grabs the toupee and starts to rant about how trust should not depend on fake hair, but instead on knowledge and integrity and accurate reporting. And all the time, I was just staring at the toupee in Sabrina's hand. There's some other bald men at the show, and they're wondering what the big deal is and ask who won the best of show. Fair point. Mrs. Erickson says Duke is because he was announced, but Bob takes it back. Mrs. Erickson runs out sobbing about her lost youth. We all wait in suspense as Bob talks about who the best cat is. He asks for Salem Saberhagen. Salem is shocked and delighted. Bob starts to award him first prize, but he stops himself. There's another cat. Where is the blonde cat? Sabrina realizes he's talking about her and hands Salem to the aunts before running off. Harvey is confused. Again, she was about to win. But the blonde cat returns, and this time, Sabrina cat whispers to Zelda to pretend like it's her cat. Zelda carries cat Sabrina up to Bob. Harvey is still confused. Zelda named her cat Sabrina? Isn't that confusing around the house? And Hilda says, it's a very confusing house. Bob announces Cat Sabrina the best in show, grand champion, and Salem cries on Hilda's shoulder.
Poor Salem. He goes through all this work just to have it yanked away.
Harvey is holding Cat Sabrina, and Zelda assures him that she's not for sale. Harvey is sad because she's the most beautiful and sweetest cat. I don't understand their relationship. I don't.
And the questions continue.
Hilda rejoins them, saying she left a present for Bob in the office. Bob sits at his desk and notices a mirror. He checks himself out in the mirror and loves what he sees. The mirror boosts his self-esteem. Sabrina is in bed and tries to talk to Salem, but he just meows at her. He's mad at her. Sabrina apologizes, but says it all worked out. She and Harvey get to go to Funland, and she'll pay off Salem's debt.
Okay. Salem, maxed out a credit card. How is 500 minus 40? $460 going to pay off a credit card?
It's not even 40, it's minus 80. It's 420 because she is buying Harvey's ticket too.
She is? Oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that's what she means by saying her and Harvey get to go together. But also, how bad is his credit score that he could only get a credit card with a limit of $420?
Yeah. Also, Harvey should have been a lot more enthusiastic at that cat show and earned his $40.
Right? I mean, he did hold her and pet her and call her right. So,
as a cat, he did that.
Do you think at any point Zelda was like, maybe I should take my teenage niece back from the boy who has his hands all over her cat body?
One would hope.
Then she gives Salem her blue ribbon because he's truly the best cat. Salem starts to cry. We are in the end tag. Dirk is at the door again. He gives Zelda her mail and some Omaha steaks from the unclaimed mailroom. Zelda invites him in for coffee. He compliments her and asks if she'll meet his parents this Sunday. Which, up to that statement, I was like, why is she so anti-Dirk? He has a steady job. We know he has good retirement because he worked for the post office. He is clearly very sweet and thoughtful. Why are we so anti-Dirk? And then he was like, do you want to meet my parents? I'm like, okay, then I kind of get it. Zelda puts on some of the perfume and tells him that first he should meet the real her. She turns around with some very large front teeth, a large wart on her nose and one on her lip, and some bushy eyebrows, because that means you're ugly.
Revulsion.
Dirk just asks if she's a little tired. And Zelda replies that she's exhausted. Dirk is Harvey when Harvey grows up.
Oh, gosh.
Dirk is the adult version of Harvey.
Oh, sorry, Harvey. Your future.
But also just so kind. Oh, you just look a little tired.
Still in love. Still going after Zelda.
Any final thoughts?
That was fun. Lots of kitties.
So many cats. Our next episode, I don't know if you're going to be able to guess what this one's about, Sky. It's season 1, episode 20, called Meeting Dad's Girlfriend. What's it about?
This is a real head scratcher there. How does Edward get out of the book is more my question, or his girlfriend is in the book. Oh, it's like a storybook tale episode where Sabrina opens the magic book and watches this little meeting dad's girlfriend on the page, and that's the 20 minutes, and that went somewhere. I don't know where I'm going with this. That's my guess.
Yeah, it's a cute one. I remember it. It's cute. As always, like, share, rate, subscribe, tell your friends about us, tell your enemies about us. Tell your hairdresser about us.
Tell your local cat judge about us.
Tell your mailman about us.
Even the Amazon guy. We'll take him too.
I would love a man with a steady job and a good retirement package. And you won't notice if my teeth suddenly grow 4 times their size. Oh gosh. You can also email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com to tell us how wrong we are about things. You can follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod and TikTok at something.witchy.pod. Until next time,
stay magical.